Back in 1984, young up-and-coming writer-director James Cameron's second feature film, The Terminator, hit theaters. And not only did this killer cyborg from the future blow away countless victims, it also blew away audiences for the next 30 plus years, and made an international movie star out of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And today that little sci-fi action movie has grown into a 6-film franchise, but only one of those can be the best Terminator movie, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Hey there, I'm Kristian from 1 Minute Critic for FilmIsNow. Now that Terminator Dark Fate is in theaters, it's the perfect time to take a look back at the entire Terminator franchise and try to decide which Terminator movie is the best. But before I begin my ranking, we'd love to hear your thoughts or see how you would rank the Terminator movies. So go ahead and share your rankings in the comments down below. And to try to keep this video from being way too long and maybe running all the way till the real Judgment Day, I'm only going to give a few points for each film, and there will be spoilers. With that being said, here's how I would rank all 6 Terminator movies from least favorite to favorite.
I'll be back.
What?
Coming in at number 6, Terminator Genisys. Released in 2015, this is the 5th film in the franchise and comes from Thor: The Dark World director Alan Taylor. This one also marks Schwarzenegger's official return to the franchise after he served as governor of California. In the future, John Connor defeats Skynet and sends Kyle Reese back to the 1980s to stop Skynet's last-ditch effort to kill Sarah Connor. Only a fracture in the timeline changes everything, and it's up to Kyle and Sarah and a reprogrammed T-800 named Pops to save the world. Despite Arnold's return and this one having some of the best visual effects in the entire franchise, the movie has by far the weakest story of all the films. And it's clearly an attempt to reboot the series that had gone off the rails a few films before. The casting choices for some of the main characters aren't my favorite. Yeah, they're fine, but overall I just don't like the creative choices made throughout this movie.
Who are you? John Connor!
Now to number 5, Terminator Salvation. Released in 2009, Christian Bale and Sam Worthington star in this 4th film in the Terminator franchise that comes from McG, the director of Charlie's Angels. This is also the only film in the franchise that does not star Arnold Schwarzenegger. Set entirely in the post-Judgment Day future, a new model of Terminator teams up with John Connor and the Resistance to infiltrate and take down Skynet. Even though I appreciate the fact that this movie is the first to focus on characters living and fighting during the time of the war with the machines, this film feels so far removed from the franchise because of its tone, aesthetic, and most obviously the lack of actors from the previous films. Besides some audio recordings of Linda Hamilton's voice and a CGI version of a much younger Arnold Schwarzenegger, nothing really feels familiar.
Hey, are you gonna pay for that?
Talk to the hand.
Now to number 4, Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. Released in 2003, this is the 3rd film in the franchise and is a direct sequel to Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Schwarzenegger reprises his role as the T-800 12 years after T2 hit theaters, but we have a new actor playing John Connor in Nick Stahl, and this is the first Terminator movie that's not directed by James Cameron. Once again, a Terminator from the future is sent back in time to protect John Connor and his future wife this time after Skynet sends another high-tech killing machine to take them out and try to put an end to the human resistance. Since so much time had passed since T2, it's easy to see the advances in visual effects in this movie. They're actually one of this film's strengths. But the film's tone is inconsistent and so different from the previous movies that it feels broken. It's much more self-aware, and it even directly spoofs some scenes from previous Terminator movies. It was really a strange creative direction to take this franchise.
My name is Sarah Connor. I hunt Terminators. Enough of a resume for you.
That brings us to number 3, Terminator Dark Fate. Released in 2019, this is the 6th movie in the franchise and comes from Tim Miller, the director of Deadpool. Dark Fate takes place in an alternate timeline following the events of Terminator 2: Judgment Day. 2 decades have passed since Sarah Connor prevented Judgment Day, and a new, highly advanced Terminator targets a young woman in Mexico City. With the help of a warrior from the future, Sarah Connor fights to survive and save the future again. Now, a lot of people are split on this movie. I think Dark Fate not only elevates the franchise back to the standard of action established early on, but it delivers a fresh story and introduces some new and interesting characters. There are plenty of callbacks to Terminator 1 and 2, and for the first time in a long time, the film feels familiar, yet it's still fresh and open-ended.
I'll be back.
Now that brings us to number 2, The Terminator. Released in 1984, The Terminator was written and directed by James Cameron and is the first in the franchise. Linda Hamilton stars alongside Michael Biehn and Arnold Schwarzenegger, who went on to star as the Terminator in 5 more films. In this one, a killer cyborg from the future travels to the 1980s to kill a woman whose unborn son will lead humanity in a war against machines. a human soldier arrives to try to protect her and keep the Terminator from changing the course of time. Hey, this is the movie that started all of this. It's an original story that perfectly blends the genres of science fiction, action, and even horror. This movie's also full of groundbreaking visual and practical effects that changed the industry forever. And for the most part, the effects hold up pretty well today.
Come with me if you want to live.
And that brings us to my number one favorite Terminator movie, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Released in 1991, T2 is a direct sequel to The Terminator and is written and directed by James Cameron. Schwarzenegger and Hamilton reprise their roles and are joined by Eddie Furlong and Robert Patrick. More than a decade after Sarah Connor was first targeted by Skynet, a T-800 is sent from the future again, this time to protect her son from a more advanced and deadly killing machine, the T-1000. Now, not only does this sequel build and improve on everything that was great about the first movie, but it set a new standard in cinema across the board. It has a fantastic script, very impressive stunt work, and groundbreaking visual effects that were used to create the liquid metal morphing villain, the T-1000. And you know what? A lot of people actually consider this to be one of the best sequels ever made and one of the best action movies of all time. I know I do. Well, you guys, that's how I would rank all 6 Terminator movies. But what about you? What do you think? Do you agree or disagree with my list? I'd love to see your Terminator ranking, so go ahead and share your list in the comments below and let's talk about it. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big Terminator drowning in liquid hot magma thumbs up and share it with all your friends. And once again, I'm Kristian from 1 Minute Critic. Feel free to check out my channel where I do 1-minute movie reviews, ranking videos, and all kinds of other movie related content. The link is down there in the description below. Thank you so much for watching Film Is Now, and hasta la vista, baby.